Hi there, Dr. Robert Heckert here, your biosafety advisor. Today, we're going to learn about how we become sick. Knowing this allows us to take the appropriate precautions to prevent potential illness. So here's the key information. You become sick from a pathogen through a three-step process. First, exposure, second, infection, and third, disease. Once exposed, there are four main routes a pathogen can enter your body: eyes, nose, and mouth, respiratory, ingestion, and skin openings. So by minimizing your exposure and blocking these routes of pathogen entry, you can reduce or even stop the chance of becoming sick. Okay, let's now take a look at the steps that lead to disease. The first step is exposure. Exposure is getting a pathogen on or in your body. For example, touching surfaces, speaking to somebody, shaking hands, pet contact, and many more. The second step is infection. This is when that exposure leads to the pathogen growing on or in your body. At this step, you could even be spreading the pathogen to others, but yet not showing any symptoms. The third step is disease, which is when that infection causes symptoms of illness, such as coughing, headache, fatigue, vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and many others. Symptoms of illness can vary greatly depending on what kind of pathogen you've been infected with, which body system is being attacked, and how your body responds to it. Now, it's important to understand that not all exposures lead to infections, and not all infections lead to disease. In fact, you're probably exposed to pathogens every day but don't realize it. That's because most exposures don't progress to infection or disease, and therefore we don't experience any symptoms of illness. Without experiencing any symptoms, you wouldn't realize you were exposed or infected. There are many factors that result in us becoming sick, but basically it's a balance of three things: how much of the pathogen you're exposed to, how infectious the pathogen is, and how effective your body is at fighting it off. So, how do pathogens enter our body? There's actually four main routes of entry: respiratory, ingestion, skin openings, and the wet areas of the eyes, nose, mouth. The route the pathogen enters the body is determined by the type of pathogen and how you interact with it. One route of entry is respiratory, which is when the air you breathe in contains the pathogen. For example, when you're within speaking distance of someone who is exhaling lots of pathogens in their breath, you could inhale that contaminated air. Another example of this is when you breathe in mold spores, which are carried in the air. Another route is through ingestion, which comes from consuming contaminated food or drink. For example, if you eat raw, undercooked, spoiled food, or drink unclean water, you may become sick. This can lead to symptoms of gastrointestinal infection, which include sore stomach, vomiting, diarrhea, etc. A third route pathogen enter is through skin openings. Our skin is usually an excellent barrier to block infections. However, if the skin is opened by cuts, punctures, scratches, or insect bites, such as mosquitoes, a pathogen can enter your body. Finally, contamination of the wet or inner areas of the eyes, nose, mouth. Exposure of these areas can occur when interacting closely with a person, animal, or the environment. For example, talking to someone, touching your face, a pet licking your face, swimming in contaminated water, and many others. You might be shocked to learn that infectious microdroplets can be sprayed onto your face when speaking with an infected person. COVID, for example, is mainly spread this way. In summary, we've learned that once you've been exposed to the pathogen, there are four common routes it can enter your body: respiratory, ingestion, skin breaks, and eyes, nose, mouth. The face is the most vulnerable to exposure and therefore should be the most protected because three of these main infection routes are there. By limiting exposure and blocking the four main routes of pathogen transmission, you can better protect yourself from getting sick. That's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next lesson. And don't get sick. Be safe, be biosafe.